What's up, guys? It's LH with Lowtech, and this is a quick review of the Lenovo Tab 2 A10, the 10-inch version of Lenovo's Tab 2 line. This is from Best Buy, so it has 16 gigabytes internal memory, stereo speakers here on the back, 8 megapixel camera, 5 megapixel on the back, on the front. Nothing too exciting about the design. It is reasonably thin. It does come with a micro SD card slot here if you want to increase the storage. There is no HDMI out, and yeah, that's about it. 1080p panel. The resolution for this size is pretty good. It's under 300 dpi, but for most things, the distance you're using the tablet is fine. The contrast ratio on the display is not bad. As you can see, when the display is off, you can noticeably see where the screen starts and stops. On a high-end tablet, you wouldn't see that, but overall, it's not too bad. The one thing I would say about the display, though, is that while it does get fairly bright, it does not get very dim. So if you are somebody who uses the tablet in a dark setting, like at night, it is uncomfortably bright for most people. It is, yeah, you won't be discreetly using your tablet without waking your partner up. Moving forward, next thing we should talk about is software. Now, this tablet ships with Android 4.4 KitKat. However, in the time since I've had it, about 2 weeks, it has already been upgraded to Lollipop. So while I was going to give it a negative for not really being on the latest version of Android, it's already been updated to the latest version of Android. So you can see that the user interface has changed a little bit, but not too much. And you can see 5.0.1. So not 5.1, but the differences between 5.1 and 5.0 are not that extravagant. Take a look at the storage in the device. The system is a little bit bigger now since it's been upgraded to Lollipop. So if you are really short on disk space, then maybe you don't want to make the jump. I haven't seen any negatives because of the lower disk space yet, but that may or may not be your situation. It said there is an SD card slot on the side, in which I've put a 60 gig inside of it. So that can alleviate the issues, but there is only about 8 gigabytes of space after you get some of the basic apps installed. I believe there's 1 or 2 games installed in this tablet, so you're probably closer to about 10 with everything out of the go. But you can change the default install place to SD card. The default launcher on this device is an interesting story, mainly because it just got upgraded. So if you are using the default launcher in KitKat, it is very iPhone, iPad-esque, with all the apps being listed on individual tabs or on individual slides on the home screen. However, since having gone to Lollipop, that has now changed, and it is a much more default Android setting. So this is the basic launcher that the device comes with now, but you can also obviously go and use something else if you want to have something a bit more close to stock. But between the two, there is not much of a difference. This is a very stock feeling experience. Almost all the default apps that are installed with this device can be removed. There are a couple that you can't or shouldn't remove just because sometimes they're tied with certain things. However, since compiling this list, we've gone upgraded to Lollipop, and that's kind of changed a little bit. But for the most part, everything that you wouldn't want can be removed. All the games, things like that, can be removed. There are some stuff like Sync It that I couldn't remove. It only gave me the option to disable. The performance on the device has actually been reasonably good for a $200 tablet. There hasn't really been any issues using the device and going through and loading web pages, things like that. Everything has gone in a pretty fast and smooth experience. Internet's a little bit slow right now, but there's not a whole lot of lag. Well, there was a little bit right there, but not a whole lot of lag in comparison to other devices in this price range. Everything does pretty smooth. You can, do pinch to zoom. In terms of games, everything that I've tried has run, which has not been the case with some other tablets, such as the Next Book we tried a little bit before. But everything works pretty well. Playing Minecraft upside down is not the best idea, especially in the dark. But everything runs pretty well. I did lower some of the settings in order to make it a little bit smoother experience, especially if you are in a very detailed area. But overall, in all the games I played, everything ran about as I expected. There was no significant slowdown. Everything actually worked. So, nothing really negative to report. If you play games on this tablet, you probably won't be disappointed. There won't be anything that you can't really do on this tablet. That being said, one of the interesting things about this tablet is that everybody has marketed it as a 1.5 gigahertz quad core. And in reality, it's actually 1.69, 1.7 gigahertz. So you are getting a little bit more speed than you would initially think. It is a little bit slower in terms of CPU than the Snapdragon 800. And the GPU is a little bit faster than the Snapdragon 600. So it kind of goes right in between those two. So if there was a Snapdragon 700, this would probably be it. The speakers on the device are pretty good for being tablet speakers. They aren't necessarily anything amazing. They're nothing compared to some of the phone speakers we've tried recently, such as the Alcatel Idol 3. But for what they are, they do sound pretty good. Not a lot of low end coming out of the tablet, but at least it doesn't sound like it's coming out of a tin can. I wish that the speakers did get a little bit louder, but you could probably tweak something in the settings. There are some Dolby settings in order to change the EQ to make it sound a little bit more to your liking. But this is the default setting came out of the box, and it sounds pretty good. In terms of build quality, everything is about as I expect a $200 tablet would feel. There's nothing necessarily blowing me away. The screen is Gorilla Glass 3, which is nice. So I don't feel like it's going to break, although the seams are a little bit obvious. You actually can feel the seams here, so I would say that in terms of durability for a fall, the screen may not be the most protected I've seen in a tablet. That also, the back is plastic. There is a little bit of give, and it does creak. But I've never felt like I was going to break the tablet at any time. So take that as what it is. It's a $200 tablet. It feels like a $200 tablet. It's not, 2 years ago's high-end tablet. It's this year's low-end tablet. And for what it is, it works well. The battery life on this device is actually very good. I've actually only had to charge the device on occasion. And again, this is mostly based off of what I've seen in KitKat. This is now kind of changed. I'll update this if I see any big changes between KitKat and Lollipop. You see I have just about under an hour right now on the current battery usage. We're about 72%, but this is over a long period of time, so 17 hours. And reasonably, I've been able to get about 8 to 10 hours of on-screen time, depending on what I'm doing. If you're playing games, that won't be the case. I'm currently using this one as a IP camera server, so that does take a little bit of the CPU time and does reduce the battery a little bit. But overall, I've been very impressed with the battery life. One thing that is changed between Lollipop and KitKat is the default camera. One thing that used to happen before is no matter what you did, there would always be a beep whenever the camera came into focus. So if you tap somewhere, it would focus, or in this case not focus, it was so close to the table, and it would put up a beep. If the tablet was on mute, it would still beep. There's no way you could turn it off in the settings. However, now that you are in Lollipop, that has thankfully been removed, so it's no longer a negative. The camera quality by itself, though, is fairly good. It's not obviously something you'd compare to something in a higher end smartphone, but for a tablet, and for a tablet this price, for doing web chats, for taking pictures if you really needed to do that sort of thing with the tablet, it gets the job done. Overall, this tablet, we've been pleasantly surprised. As it has solid performance, the build quality is about what we expect, and so far I've been pretty impressed with Lenovo's ability to send out updates. I've had about 5 updates since the time I actually got this device. Most of them were right at the beginning, but even since then I've had 2 updates to fix bugs and things like that. Even though I haven't really had any issues with bugs going this entire time, but including the Lollipop update in the last 2 weeks, I've had about 5 updates. So it sounds like Lenovo is really aggressively trying to keep this device optimized. I'm not sure if it actually will get Android M whenever that comes out, but All signs point to this being at least dependable for bug fixes and things like that. Maybe not the latest version of Android, but I wouldn't also be surprised if it got it. Thanks for watching, guys. This is LOH Low Tech, and this has been our quick review of the Lenovo Tab 2 A10. Subscribe.